Welcome to 101.1 FM WBRULP WFOOLP WVVXLP Providence. I'm Dhruv and Alejandro, one of your co-hosts.
And I'm Alejandro Jackson, your other co-host.
And this is the Outta Pocket Podcast,
where we pull conversation topics out of our pocket.
And occasionally go out of pocket.
So on today's show, we're going to talk about the deep ocean, more specifically what we know about it, what we don't know about it, and some theories circulating out there about it, just for fun.
Yeah. So, I gotta be honest, man. I'm curious, what drew you to this topic today? Because I know you're the one who suggested this.
Yeah. So, I guess you weren't too far off because you talked about, I guess, my inspiration with like bio, and even though we're not covering anything like ecosystems and all that kind of stuff, we're doing some cell bio basically. I don't know, just like today's topic in bio was like molecular biology and like all the ways of like manipulating like DNA and finding human genome sequences and all that stuff, right? And I got back to my dorm and I was just sitting there thinking about like science in general, kind of just you ever have those like I guess trains of thought that just go from like very like a very niche topic to like
bro all the time.
Yeah.
You like know who you're talking to, bro. All the time.
Yeah. And so I was just like, and so I started thinking about like conversation topics and I guess mostly because of like bio and like how cool I found it. Like I was feeling very sciencey today, and so I was thinking like what we can cover. And I know we've talked about like space before, and like I guess we could talk about like, and I didn't want to rip something straight out of like biology because like right, I don't know. I just wanted to talk about something fun, and I was like, because I feel like a lot of our better conversation when we talk about something we like don't know anything about, and like kind of just like start to like inquire, like I don't know, like when we talked about the beginning of the universe and we were like right. And so I was like, like the ocean probably. I mean, well, no, I mean, obviously so much of it is yet to be explored, and like I don't know, I think it's very like overlooked. Because like it's always like space and like Elon Musk and like going to Mars and.
Well, I feel like we've been hearing this phrase since we were in elementary school, but literally every time someone introduces the ocean, they're like, "We know so much about outer space, and not what's happening on our own planet."
Yeah,
but
like, it's true. Yeah, we're always like,
facts.
I mean, like, it's kind of crazy because like we're always looking outward, but like, can you imagine if like I don't know, like the key to making space travel efficient or something is like in our oceans, and we just haven't bothered to look because we're like, like space.
I mean,
space is cool.
On that note, like the oceans have already given us so much. I think probably one of the most relevant examples is PCR. PCR
That's what we talked about in bio today.
Yeah, PCR is only possible because scientists found Taq polymerase, which is a version of.
They found that in Yellowstone, right? In something aquaticus in the hot springs.
Yeah, those ocean bacteria out here.
Well, yeah, I guess that's.
Or I mean, does it count as ocean? I'd still say like aquatic.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Though.
But like, that polymerase works at super high temperatures, which is what allows PCR to work.
Celsius.
Allows us to diagnose things from HIV to COVID. Yeah.
So no, and obviously I guess this is something we should talk about because I mean we like to cover all aspects of things on this show, but just like also the downsides of that and like I guess the causes of humans taking so greedily from our environment, to be honest. But yeah, like along those, but we can get into that later. But yeah, along the lines of like where you were saying with PCR, and we also talked about don't exactly know the name of the bacteria, but essentially CRISPR and like how they discovered CRISPR, and it was actually a really cool story. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that bacteria wanted all the smoke, like because essentially the way Professor Miller put it was a bacteria that would take like DNA sequences of all the bacteria that had attacked it and it had survived. I would just like keep it as a trophy, like Professor Miller compared it to like having like a hunter keeping a deer head on the wall.
Right.
I was like, man,
Bacteria's a savage, bro.
Yeah, bacteria was out here and they wanted the smoke. That's all. Yeah, but I bring that up because it was found in like the swamps of Spain, and so like another like very like aqueous is that the right word?
Aquatic, I guess. Who knows?
Oh,
Who cares?
Too much science.
Yeah.
Very aquatic environment. I mean, being from Florida, we have swamps down there, and it's like mad humid, and it's just interesting to think about how all these different little niche creatures can exist in like environments that you wouldn't even think of. And like that's another thing that Professor Miller talked about today was like how they discovered CRISPR through what was meant to be just an ordinary genome sequencing of like any random bacteria that they found, and it turned out to be something a lot bigger. So yeah, but so yeah. Anyways, we I guess that was a very long digression from the original question, which is why I had picked this conversation topic. But yeah, it was essentially just to
Like TLDR, oceans are cool, bro.
yeah, and I feel like there's so much we don't know about it, and so yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it. But
oh, bro, we should have gotten Joanne on this. Joanne has an obsession with marine biology.
that is true.
Yeah.
That would have been good. But yeah,
Unfortunate.
but yeah. So I mean, we can always revisit this topic in another capacity
So
eventually.
true.
So yeah, but yeah. So I guess what are some of your experiences with learning about like the ocean?
Experiences with learning about the ocean. I mean,
Yeah, like where do you remember your earliest like interaction with like being taught about like the ocean and like all
all I know is that like I've always enjoyed trips to the ocean. There's just something like super serene about just standing on the shore and like just going to a beach and just like chilling by the sea, like hanging
pointing
out
at the horizon.
Yeah. I mean, not to sound cliche, but it is kind of calming.
I
But
know that reference flew over your head. Pointing at the horizon.
oh no,
Yeah.
Eren Yeager. But
Oh, nerds.
yeah,
But anyways,
for real.
yeah.
But in terms of like education, I think like probably like just the American standard public school experience, like you learn about like the continental shelf and like Pangea and like all the what's that place called, the abyssal zone
Yeah.
like like the zones of light penetrating the ocean, and like and then you learn like about like I think in elementary school, so we had this thing in Georgia called tag, which was like it was basically like the quote unquote gifted kids program. And at least in elementary school, tag was cracked because you got to miss one day of school per week to go hang out with all the other tag kids and learn some stuff that's like completely unrelated. So like some of our tag units were goated. Like we got to dissect a shark once.
What?
Like yeah, no, it was like it was hype. And then in middle school, tag like really just became honors classes, and after that it just went downhill because you're just like giving yourself more work. But at least in elementary school, I have, for some reason, I have like a very vivid memory of like we had one tag unit where we learned about like marine biology and stuff. And one of the we had to make like a diorama of like fish in the sea or whatever, and one of the ones I learned about for some reason was the giant squid, because that's just what I was interested in. Giant squid are kind of sick, bro. TBH.
Yeah, I mean calamari do be slapping.
Bruh.
I mean,
I'm talking about the release the Kraken type beat.
well, calamari still do be slapping. Like favorite appetizer.
What? Favorite appetizer?
Yeah, well, like I just realized something. So like, if anybody recalls what episode was it? 4.
Dang, bro, we doing callbacks?
Uniqueness of perspective. My rule that I never eat food with a hole in it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Call him out, bruh.
However, all right, here's my double standard. Calamari you can eat in one bite, so like, it's like different.
I'll let it slide. I'll let it slide.
Yeah, I call myself lacking. We're just gonna sweep that one under the rug.
Bro, you really said I don't want no smoke, and then you gave yourself the smoke.
You know, I gotta call myself out when I see it. And, you know, it's also funny. It's just a nice.
You gotta keep it a buck, bro.
I gotta keep it a buck. It's also a nice little callback, like you said.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess that's sort of my. Yeah, that's pretty much my experience learning about it in school, and obviously you learn stuff outside. I mean, you probably learn majority of the useful information in your life outside of public school.
Yeah, I would. I mean, yeah, I would say so. I mean, I guess. I mean, this is a larger thing that we can probably cover in another topic, but just like how schools don't teach financial literacy, how to be a citizen in America, basically, taxes, et cetera, et cetera.
But they do teach you science, and I'm a science enjoyer, so
too.
I can't be knocking on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we also learned some stuff in. I remember when I first watched the Life of Pi movie. I'm like, oh, what's like the Marianas Trench? Because like in the movie, I believe their ship passes over, and that's where the accident happens.
It's been
right?
so long, I couldn't.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember really enjoying that movie as a kid.
Yeah. I remember hiding behind a pillow because that tiger was.
Yo, Richard Parker. Yeah, Richard Parker was a homie. For real.
No, yeah. So yeah, I guess similar to you, a lot of my experiences with it have been in school. I remember 7th grade specifically was a big time when we covered like a lot. My 7th grade science teacher was kind of goated. I'm not gonna lie.
Dang, you gotta shout him out.
Yeah, Miss Jose. I don't know if you'll ever catch this podcast, but Miss Jose was covering it. Like, I feel like that was the first science class that felt very, to be honest, like
Fun.
yeah, like it inspired a lot of the, I guess the curiosity, but like behind science and I just remember like we have Fairchild's Botanical Garden. It's a famous garden in Miami, which it's one of those things that like everybody's like, well, let's go to Fairchild's, like, no. But they do a lot of like little like I guess projects and fun things with like the community around Miami schools. And I remember in light of The Martian, like the movie.
Oh,
release,
right, yeah.
This was 2014. Wow.
Was it really that long ago?
No.
No, Martian was 7th grade, 2015. Oh wait, that's still a while ago.
No, yeah, but like it was because
man.
it was like it was 2015. I remember it was September. It was like fall of 2015.
I remember watching that movie for the first time. I'm like, the part with are you gonna talk about like the potatoes and the poop thing?
I mean, I wasn't gonna. I mean, I guess the challenge was. I mean, well, we were not putting plants in poop, but the challenge was basically to like grow stuff. So I mean, I guess we. But
I remember that part. I was like thinking, I'm like, yo, this is kind of cool. This like Loki. If I was ever stranded on Mars,
yeah.
But then I realized
I've never actually seen the movie. I read the book.
For real? Yeah. The movie was nice.
I haven't seen the movie. But yeah, so so basically like Fairchild does all these challenges, and yeah, they like I remember they basically donated to like my elementary / middle school like this like basically like a it was like a box, like it was like this weird it looked like an apartment building, and it had all these plants in it, and they were like under UV light and like all this stuff.
Dang,
and
okay.
It was but and stuff like that. That science class was just very like it was really cool. And I remember like one time after school, I found this so cool that I actually bought a pair myself. My teacher got these. Have you seen those sunglasses that let you look at the sun?
Yeah, like the solar eclipse glasses.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she brought like a pair, and then she passed them around. Like I thought it was so cool. I bought myself a pair, so like I have some at home. But it was just like stuff like that. But anyways, large sidetrack. Point being that I just remember watching films in that class about like geology, but like more so geology under the sea, and like, tectonic plates, and all that stuff.
You know, the magnetic reversals and all that.
And
the mid-Atlantic ridge.
Yeah, and I
it all comes
the
back.
biggest thing was like Marianas Trench, and like 7 miles under the sea, and they took a submarine down there.
And then like the Challenger Deep.
Yeah, and so like, and that's just a fraction of like the depth of So I guess that's sort of let's cover our I guess introductions to
Yeah.
the sea. And so I can't say I remember a lot of the background knowledge that was once imparted to me
Mm-hmm.
7 years ago.
Yeah.
Damn, we're old.
Yeah, bro.
Time flies, but yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I guess just in terms of the ocean, well, I have a very weird relationship with. Like, I think it's cool, but like, whenever I'm at the beach, like you were saying, and I'm standing there, I'm like, I'm not going more than 10 feet out.
Bro, fish pee in that. You can't be caught lacking.
Humans do too at this point. But yeah, so yeah, and then I guess the other thing is beyond what we like don't know about the ocean. Also, just like how life forms have adapted to just live down there. Like, anglerfish are still some of the coolest.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
just
Facts.
like yeah, and like the idea of like bioluminescence, which I mean is more of a, I mean, is not strictly just a aquatic environment thing, but I feel like, I don't know, I mean, this is just me speaking. I don't think this is any fact, but I personally feel like there's a lot more bioluminescent animals in aquatic environments than not aquatic environments.
I mean, you might be right with that, because like bioluminescence is probably especially prominent in places like the abyssal zone, where I'm sure it's evolutionarily favored to be able to produce some level of light so you could see.
You'd think so, because I feel like in a place so dark, I feel like that would attract so much to you.
Well, and organisms like the anglerfish use that to their advantage.
Yeah, that is true, but like, I mean, yeah, that is facts, because like, imagine you were swimming down in the abyssal zone and you just like bumped into somebody. If that somebody is strapped
With
packing
teeth, bro.
2 sets of teeth,
A second set of jaws.
GG Nemo. It was fun. It was nice knowing you. But yeah, so I don't know. So then, I guess kind of branching off a little bit, I feel like we should probably talk about like oceans and pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, like, so whatever, we sort of talked about a lot of like scientific reality.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say pop culture so much as just like world culture in general. I want to say, like, who was it? Who am I thinking of? Was it Carl Jung with who came up with like all the different archetypes, and or maybe it was Campbell. No, Campbell did the mono. Anyway, I'm getting off track. It's just like so prominent in world cultures and mythologies and stories for pretty much all time, and like I can see why. Like Mediterranean culture was obviously like coastal, for the large part. Civilization tends to be near rivers. I mean, that's just something like that we learn in school.
The French and the British were really scrapping over the Ohio River Valley. Like,
Ohio.
Hey, yo, to anybody who's from Ohio. I'm just messing.
Apologies.
Kind of. But anyways.
But like we have so much examples of ocean stories, ocean deities specifically, like in like Homer, like the Homeric poems, like the wine dark sea. Obviously Odyssey is just literally just a journey on the sea. And that makes sense because the Greeks were just very seafaring. So were the Phoenicians. And especially in like, obviously there's examples like everywhere. Like the Japanese have like, I'm gonna get. I'm probably gonna butcher this pronunciation, and I don't even know if I remember the name properly, but I want to say there's a dragon, Ryujin, who lives at the bottom of the oceans in a palace, and he has two gems, two jewels that like control the tides. Once again, super makes sense because Japan's an island, you know, and cultures are influenced like what cultures are deem important or what surrounds them.
Actually, interesting question.
Yeah.
I guess like because I know you're South Indian, and I mean, I'm not an expert on geography, but so I'm gonna check the part of South India is what touches
Yeah.
the
No, you'd be right.
Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'd be
So
right.
is there like I mean, I guess what does the ocean signify to you like your culture, and then I can talk about Cuba obviously after.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, and then my follow-up question is like, is there any differences between North India and South India, and like the way they view the ocean, or like any,
Ooh,
if you know, if I mean,
that's a good question. I don't know if I really know the answer to the second question,
yeah.
but I mean, it's not necessarily like South India is by the, because like the whole subcontinent is basically just a giant peninsula.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's parts that touch the coast around the entire side, but like pretty much where my family's from is part of India called Tamil Nadu, and in that part of India, there's a city called Chennai, which is like the biggest. It's like the capital of Tamil Nadu. It's like the biggest city there, and that's where my mom's from, and it's where she grew up. It's where my dad's family from, even though he grew up in Mumbai. And yeah, very coastal. In other places like in like Kolkata, if you go like north of Tamil Nadu-ish, there's a fish is a large part of the diet there because I mean fish is a pretty large part of the diet in Tamil Nadu too. So yeah, like obviously the ocean's a really big part. In terms of like Hindu mythology and stories, the ocean plays a super significant role. Because the whole like there's this big idea. There's all sorts of like competing like different notions because like these ideas evolve over time, but probably one of the most prominent ones is that like the universe sort of sits on a cosmic ocean. And like the earth sits on this ocean. So there's like a story of when Vishnu, the preserver god, had to like turn into a boar and lift the earth from like the bottom of the ocean because it fell I forget the reason why it fell into the ocean. Then there's another story where like there's like an ocean of milk and Vishnu turns into a turtle to it's like a complicated story. Basically, like they're trying to cop like some immortality serum type beat.
I respect it.
Yeah, like you got like it's understandable. So the devas were like the gods are like, hey bro, we trying to cop a bag, but in order to do it, they need to churn the ocean of milk.
Churn it?
Yeah, bro.
To like butter?
Yeah, bro.
Damn.
And so the only way they could do that, they gotta like carry over this big mountain. Yeah, it's mythology, bro. It gets out of pocket. It gets out of hand. They gotta carry over big mountain. There's also this homie named Vasuki, and he's like a snake. They need to tie him around the mountain.
Sounds like a real one. I just by the name alone.
Yeah, for real.
Wait, they used him like that though?
Yeah, bro.
That's
and
crazy.
he's chill with it. He's like, "Hey, bro." He's like the Snake King.
You're a real one.
And they have to like tie him around the mountain and use like just pull him back and forth to like churn it. But in order to do that, they need to enlist the help of the Asuras, who are the demons. And they're like, "Hey, bro, we'll share." But obviously they were capping the whole time.
Wait,
but
the elixir?
Yeah.
mortality?
The what's its name? Amrit, maybe? I don't remember. But like they told him, they're like, "Hey homie, like we'll share." But obviously they were capping the whole time. So like they really got all the demons out here to lift the mountain and do the grunt work and join them in the churning. And in the process of the churning, there's some poison that was produced, halahal. And to get rid of the poison,
Wait, where'd the poison come from?
I don't know, man. It's just
was
how
in
the story goes.
The milk was bad.
Yeah, that's just how the
crazy.
story goes.
That's how the milk goes in my fridge.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Fridges
saying, bro. That Whole Foods milk. I don't know about that one.
Geez. The fridges don't have enough wattage.
Facts.
My fridge is powering a microwave. Like, what'd you expect?
Facts.
You plug a microwave like into a fridge. Wait, you plug a microwave? No, you plug.
No, you plug.
Yeah.
Wait. Your fridge is getting its power from the microwave.
Yeah. So like anytime.
Why didn't you plug it into the wall?
Because like, I guess I could, but like
the LEDs.
well, my LEDs are there.
Bruh.
But anyway, I don't know. That's just the way it was, and like I don't want to touch anything and like
Yeah. Okay.
have them
Fair,
be like,
fair.
"What'd you do to the dorm?" And, like it's crazy because every time I use my microwave and I open my fridge, the lights go out. The lights just don't work.
Bruh.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's
anyway.
my milk always goes bad. Yeah.
Anyways, poison's produced, and then Shiva, who's like another really big deity, he's kind of the homie here. He pulls up, and he's like, I'll drink the poison so no one gets hurt. So the homie just like downs it, and his throat turns blue, and that's why you see him in like that's, you know how there's like certain symbols and iconography associated with certain people throughout, like, I want to say like a big example of this is like Christian saints. Like certain saints will always have like I want to say like I don't know anything about the Bible
know more than me because
but I want to say like, man, Joanne's about to clap me because I don't know the Catholic lore, but like I want to say John the Baptist always rolls around with like an animal coat, at least in like the paintings, and that signifies something. And like I want to say Saint Elmo, because he was martyred, like they rolled out his intestines or something. He rolls around with a stick, and like his intestines are tied around the stick, and that's how he shows up in like art all the time. Like that's just something you associate.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the same deal with like Shiva and like the blue throat. That's like one of the things that you associate with him. Anyway, they cop the bag. They're rolling back with the Amrit, and then the Asuras are like, "Hey, bro. So like, where's our cut?
Where's our
cut? G?"
They really did a GTA heist and said you're getting $0. That's crazy.
But what ends up happening is Vishnu, again, pulls a homie. Like, I don't know, Vishnu's out here just like pulling money moves, but he turns into a super hot girl and starts like handing out like the stuff, and because like everyone's just like super like distracted, enamored, the Asuras don't even notice that they didn't get Jack, bro. They got diddly. And then he's like, "Aight, bye." Like Mohini's her name. She's like, "Aight, bye." And then she dips, and the Asuras are like, "I bet." Wait a minute. But by then it's too late. Wow. So like, yeah, lots of fun stories like that. And like, yeah, there's this whole like mention with like this whole notion with like just the cyclical nature of everything in Hinduism. And so like, not only on the micro scale of like us being washed around in the cycle of rebirth and just like kind of flowing, but also on the macro scale, like there's this idea that this universe is just one in the cycle of many, and like eventually everything's just gonna like go into a period of rest again and then pick back up. So like, and when that happens, the only thing that remains is Vishnu on the ocean, with like the whole universe inside of him, and like it's all like condensed around that. And then eventually like Brahma, the creator, will come out of his navel in a lotus, and then when Brahma awakes, he'll create a new universe. That's like kind of the notion of how these things go. But yeah, that's like the ocean is a very important part of like just the view of the cosmos. Basically, it's kind of whack. I'm sure it's that way in Cuban culture too.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess the first thing I want to cover is like sort of less I guess religious and spiritual things. I do want to get into that in a second, and to the extent that I can, because I know that I am not the most well versed in sort of religion in Cuba for a number of reasons, because like sort of I now that I think about it, I mean, as far as I know and remember, my family wasn't really guess, and this is just me going out on a limb, because I hear bits and pieces of the stories of like my grandmother's life when in Cuba, but like under a communist government where you like are struggling to find food, um, you like going to church every Sunday is, or at least not. Well, to be honest, just being under communist government, I don't even know if actually I take that back. That's not true. There are churches, but anyways, getting into it. So yeah, a lot of Cuban culture, obviously, since it's an island, is, I guess, very centered around a sort of ocean lifestyle. Funny enough, I guess no, actually that's not true either. So I guess a lot of the like, because basically the way food works in Cuba is like it's given out rations, and so like beef is a rarity. Like beef is rare, and I think pork is pretty rare too. The majority of like dishes or like food that you eat like on a daily basis is like chicken or fish. Just because like I feel like logistically it's just easier to like just sort of crank out, if that makes sense, and also because like cows and pigs take up a lot of space, and it's an island.
Resources.
Yeah, it's an island. I mean, I don't know how like if I were to compare Cuba to the U.S., I don't know how big exactly of a space it would take up, but yeah. Anyways, so like and then and then beaches in Cuba. Varadero is like my favorite beach in the world. I mean, I'm a little biased because my family's Cuban, but like that beach is what made me realize how mid Miami Beach is. What else? We have this thing called El Malecon, which is the seawall. It's a big seawall, similar to, I don't know if you know, in like Puerto Rico, like they have a big seawall too. And it's like it's part of Spanish colonization. When they just take over a new island, they tend to build a lot of the same structures. You see Spanish forts, St. Augustine in Puerto Rico and Cuba. So we have El Malecon, and funny enough, we have I think it's every night, they do this thing called El Cañonazo de las 9, which at 9 p.m. every night they fire off a cannon. It's not like, it's like blank basically, but
and they do the same thing in St. Augustine, I want to say.
Yeah,
but that, I feel like that's more of like a tourist thing than like a tradition
this
thing.
is for some reason they just every night, just 9 o'clock. Yeah, funny. Yeah, I just remember like one time I was at dinner with my mom, my two uncles, and my cousin, and we were sitting there, and I asked my mom like, "What time is it?" And all of a sudden, like this loud boom went off, and like my mom and I like freaked out, and my family just like they were acting as if nothing happened, and my mom was like, "Oh, like what's that?" And my uncle was like, "Oh, Cañonazo las 9," and my mom was like, "Oh, it's 9 o'clock," and I was like, "Oh, thanks," but yeah, so the seawall's like a bit of a big thing, like it's a sight to see, like you go over, and you can walk along the seawall and just like stare out into the ocean, like you were talking about earlier. You see the waves crashing, and like they crash hard 'cause it's a rocky. It's like there's like the wall, and then there's like a bunch of rocks, like those when you see like big rocks along a coast.
So you're telling me there's an ocean outside the walls, bro?
Yeah.
Yo.
So yeah, and then and
we've been watching too much Attack on Titan.
Yeah, we have, but it's a really good show. We'll have to at this point expect an episode on it, because when that series ends.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and then there's jokes about like Cuba's very known for like sugarcane. And so like one of the jokes we have, like it's like, oh, like I wish the sea would dry up, and it's like, oh, like why? And he's like, so I could plant sugarcane all the way from here to the U.S. and then I can harvest it all. And like the whole point of the joke is that once you get to the other side, once you finish like harvesting sugarcane from Cuba to Florida, you leave the country, you just hop on the other side and you hit the dip. But yeah, so but then I guess in sort of more spiritual and religious regards, so obviously the Spanish pulled up to Cuba.
Yep.
Colonized the place. Sugarcane, coffee became very big things. But also, it goes without saying that was fueled by the transatlantic slave trade. And so, a lot of African culture obviously came to the Americas. And so there's Catholicism and Christianity, right? And then we have what's called Santeria. And Santeria is like usually associated with brujeria and witchcraft and all that stuff. But what Santeria actually is just a mix of like Catholicism and
it's just a
and
syncretic
African
religion.
Yeah.
But yeah, and quick side note on Santeria, it was, I want to say there was a case in the 90s, a Supreme Court case about like people in Miami who practice Santeria sacrificing a chicken, and there was a case on to whether or not like that was legal. And I don't remember the specifics. I want to say that it was deemed a valid expression of the freedom of religion.
But yeah, so yeah, no, Santeria is like a big thing. Let's see, in Hialeah, of course, it's Hialeah. Like, I'm from Miami. I'm reading this, and out of all places that you'd find it, it's Hialeah. Actually, let me try to find. This is what I'm looking for. So yeah, I guess we can just cover this court case really quick. But yeah, so as you were saying, this church in Hialeah practiced the Afro-Caribbean-based religion of Santeria, and they use animal sacrifices as a form of worship. Shortly after the announcement of establishment of a Santeria church in Hialeah, Florida, the city council adopted several ordinances addressing religious sacrifice. The ordinances prohibited possession of animals for sacrifice or for slaughter, with specific exemptions for state license activities. And the question is, did the city of Hialeah's ordinance prohibiting ritual animal sacrifice violate the First Amendment's free exercise clause? And the conclusion was, yeah, that
that's a violation.
Yeah, the court held that the ordinances were neither neutral nor generally applicable. The ordinance had to be justified by compelling governmental interest, and they had to be narrowly tailored to that interest. So, yeah. And I remember loosely hearing about this, but I can't say that, like...
When was it again?
1990... Well, argued 1992, decided 1993.
Okay, so it wasn't the 90s.
Yeah. So yeah, Santeria is still a thing in Miami. It's still a thing in Cuba. And so, basically where I was going with this is we have a god, I don't want to say we because my family doesn't practice Santeria, but there is a god in the religion of Santeria called Yamaya, and she's the goddess of the sea and like of motherhood and you know all the stuff that comes with it, fertility and life, and
that's right? Cool.
And you know, and funny enough, like it bleeds through in like a lot of the culture. So like there's a song Awanile, which is like it's in my playlist. But yeah, there's like chants to the goddess Yamaya like at the beginning of the song, and so it's a very like I guess prominent thing. So that's similar to, I mean, we, as far as I know, well, I mean, like I said, I'm not too versed in Santeria because I don't my family doesn't practice it, but like I'm sure that there are like mythological stories that I just haven't heard about, similar to the ones that you were retelling like a bit earlier. But yeah, so I guess that's the general our general I guess overview of Santeria and like culture and whatever. I mean, not Santeria, the oceans. Wow, okay, my brain kind of went there. But yeah, and then you know in pop culture, you know we have like Atlantis and you know movies like The Little Mermaid, which give us a very like wondrous, larger than life depiction of the ocean. But yeah, so and then I guess transitioning from that, I did want to talk about I guess like some current I guess goings-ons.
Yeah, I mean, you know me, I could definitely talk about I mean I could not only talk about the movie Atlantis that Disney made in the early aughts. That was like honestly string of movies from 2000 to 2003 made by Disney, super underrated. Atlantis, Treasure Planet, Brother Bear, all three smack. I feel like they don't nearly get the recognition that they deserve. But on top of that, I could talk about like actual Atlantis and you know its place in our culture for a while. But like you know like we should probably move on.
Yeah, there are kind of a bit of things that I want to cover on the episode. Yeah. So then I guess I wanted to transition to, I don't know, kind of just where humans are standing with the ocean, the deep ocean right now, and like, so.
Because it's only getting deeper. # climate change, baby.
Yeah, that's true. And funny enough, I guess one of the articles talks about Antarctica, but not, at least, I haven't skimmed them yet, but from what I know, it's not centered around climate change. But yeah, so this talks about this article, which, then again, well, you know, I guess take everything with a grain of salt, because I don't know how accurate these sources are, but whatever. I just kind of wanted to talk about some interesting articles that I briefly researched before this episode. But deep ocean mission soon to study origins of life, which, funny enough, seems to be centered around India.
Nice.
So yeah,
I can respect it.
yeah, they say that India will soon scour the ocean bed to unravel the mysteries of the origins of life, as scientists are said to travel up to 6,000 meters below the sea surface under a deep ocean mission. So yeah, and I guess you can only imagine what like you try to find down there. And the thing is, like, the question is, how do you even get down there? Like, because I mean, obviously, you know, submarines, but like, I haven't exactly kept up with the advancement of technology, like submarine technology. I know that, you know, like you were talking about, the Challenger did make it pretty far into Marianas Trench, but obviously, what I recall, there was like 2 windows or something, like there was like 2 sheets of glass basically, and one of them cracked or something when they got to a certain depth, and so they had to like come back up. But so yeah, so they, you know, this article talks about mapping the ocean bed, but interestingly enough, and I guess, you know, this is important to talk about, I guess, the social implications of our scouring the ocean floor. It talks about how the ocean is a rich source for metals and minerals, and it gets into the conversation of deep sea mining. And I sort of touched upon this earlier about like humans need to, like, you know,
I feel like that would make a really cool idea for like sci-fi.
What?
Like deep sea mining.
It would, but like, we always want to pilfer from whatever source we can find, and so like, it's like, you know, we have so much of the ocean explored, and what's gonna happen when we do like, get there, if we do get there. It's like, humans do what humans do. Yeah. Take resources, and so like,
I mean, in terms of ideas for sci-fi, it would definitely be like a Snowpiercer capitalist critique type beat.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, no, there's also this other, I want to say, still talking about the Challenger Deep, I forget what it was, but they recently sent a submarine down there, like, and it broke the record and it went super far. I want to say it went to the bottom, and it found candy wrappers at the bottom of the ocean. Like, that has to be the wildest.
I mean, I'm not surprised. We have trash islands the size of Texas, like, out there, and so like,
kind of depressing.
Yeah, and that's why, like I say, like, you know, with these, like, this need to like find resources with like deep sea mining, like we're polluting the ocean at the surface, or polluting the ocean at its deepest depths. Like, what's next, right? And so like, yeah. But
all I can say is the first piece of single-use plastic produced maybe 100 years ago, maybe less at this point, is gonna be on this planet long after you and I, our grandchildren, like our great-grandchildren, probably long after like some of the last people here.
And we got to do something about it. I'm not an environmental engineering major though, so I guess, you know what, number one piece of advice for all you guys listening: don't recycle your water bottles with a cap on, because they actually will not take it.
Really?
If you recycle it with the cap on, they actually trash it, because they can't recycle the cap.
Wow.
So like, even if it's on the bottle, they will just throw it out.
Bro, they really said no cap.
Yeah, straight up. And so, yes, that's my one piece of healthy living advice for the day. Be a little better to the environment and separate the caps from your. I think it's. I mean, I don't know like how. I know for a fact water bottle caps.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the same for soda bottle caps. Like, and I don't know about like I don't know, like iced tea bottles.
Yeah. I'm sure they'd have some sort of information on it.
They should. They really should. And like that's something that a lot of people don't know, so they just recycle it with a cap on, and like it does nothing, unfortunately. So yes, that's my one piece of advice for the day: to take the caps off your water bottles and throw them in the trash, and then the bottle in the recycling. Yeah. So, and then the second article I wanted to cover by the Conversation, by a website called The Conversation, and again, just take the credibility of this with a grain of salt. But I mean, whatever. Just wanted to talk about some stuff. So it's titled "In the Dark, Freezing Ocean Under Antarctica's Largest Ice Shelf, We Discovered a Thriving Microbial Jungle." I just thought that was really cool, and it kind of ties back into what we were talking about earlier in the episode about like CRISPR and PCR and how through these bacteria that live in these aquatic environments, we've discovered so much that we can benefit from in terms of molecular biology technologies.
I mean, modern life only exists because back in the early days, cyanobacteria started photosynthesizing, put a bunch of oxygen in the air.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like sometimes, like as much as we as a society are collectively taught to like fear and find disgust in germs and the micro tiny things that live in our world, there's a lot of really cool and beneficial stuff out there.
Yeah.
Then again, there's also COVID and like, you know, parasites and whatever. But like, yeah, a lot of cool stuff, especially in the ocean.
Yeah. So this article talks about the discovery of a thriving microbial community, distinct and well adapted to survival without light and without the organic material that rains down in the open ocean. That's interesting. I've never thought about that actually. I guess like in places where like, because I guess ice floats, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, actually, is Antarctica just like a floating landmass? Is that Is it?
No, I'm pretty sure there's actual land under
I
it.
was gonna say, can you imagine? Like,
Dang, that's crazy, bro. Imagine if Antarctica was just playing bumper cars with like all the other continents.
That's actually crazy. Like if it's just like floating there, because like, damn. Anyways, but yeah, so interesting. So apparently this like community survives on inorganic nitrogen and sulfur compounds as its sources of chemical energy, which I find interesting because
Very
like,
cool.
recently in biology we learned like proteins are mostly proteins are sulfur, have a lot of sulfur, and DNA has a lot of DNA is made of has nitrogenous bases. So I guess that would make sense why like. But yeah, use these alternative energy sources to fix dissolved carbon into complex organic molecules and biomass.
I'm sure it also somehow utilizes like. No, but would nitrogen make a good electron sink? Because I'm sure it's not an oxygen poor environment down there, so maybe they'd be using nitrogen as like an electron sink at the end of the electron transport chain.
Like instead of
O2.
Well, don't they?
But that you'd need to. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, but so and hey, low key, all I'm saying is anyways, it says basically the article says our discovery goes back to the earliest hints of microscopic life under the ice, first recognized during the 19th century voyages of James Clark Ross, after whom both the southernmost ocean and ice shelf are named. And all I'm gonna say, it says during the summers between 1840 and 1842, crews above the HMS Erebus and HMS Terror dodged icebergs, managed fickle winds, and chipped frozen sea spray from their rigging and decks as they pushed southward through the Ross Sea. And all I'm gonna say is, you mean to tell me that some ships in 1840 could dodge an iceberg where the Titanic couldn't? That's crazy.
Bruh.
Anyways.
Bruh.
Oh man, this just gave me flash. Have you ever read The Ship of the Ancient Mariner? Or like, what is it?
The Rime of the Ancient Mariner.
There you go. Damn, I read that for AP Lit. That was like a year ago.
The albatross type beat.
Don't mess with nature. If you guys haven't read the story, essentially moral of the story, don't mess with nature, because you will get smitten. Yeah,
Smoked.
yeah, you'll catch these hands, these
Divine hands,
these
bro.
divine hands. But yeah, so it talks about there's no rain of organic particles from above, and once water flows into the sub-ice ocean cavity, it can take up to 5 years for it to see sunlight again.
Wow.
And apparently there are microbes, amphipods, and fish down there. And the analytical methods of the day were limited, leaving the question of whether what they had found constituted a functioning food web unresolved. So
No, man. I am totally craving being out in the ocean on the beach on a hot day right now. That would kind of hit.
that would be nice. We've been in the winter for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but so let me see what else does this article talk about. It talks about the scientific methods they use to find like these bacteria and this microbial jungle. Use an array of cutting-edge genomic techniques and biogeochemical measurements to identify what microscopic organisms live within the ocean cavity, where their energy is coming from, and what they do with it. And so yeah, I guess these are just two things like I wanted to talk about. I guess sort of what's under there, and in terms of like organisms and whatnot, and also just like as I talked about in the first article, exploration of the deep sea. And then just to have a little fun, I wanted to cover some theories about the deep sea. So there's an article from the BBC, which I would say is pretty credible. 8 mysteries from the deep sea, if you guys want to check the article out for yourself. But yeah, so I guess number one, and this is kind of branching off from like the whole deep sea thing, but the Baltic Sea anomaly. Apparently, in 2011, a group of divers looking for treasure and salvage in the Baltic Sea took a sonar image, and some claim that the Baltic Sea anomaly, as it came to be known, was a UFO, and it resembled the Millennium Falcon in Star Wars, because I'm totally sure that Han Solo was BC. He lived before Christ.
That's facts.
Yeah.
No, I want to say, like, I swear to God, I think there was a Star Wars comic where Chewie and Han end up on Earth. Like, I'm pretty sure this is.
I
Like,
wouldn't be surprised, to be honest.
something in the Star Wars extended universe.
Yeah. Okay. Apparently, this came to the conclusion it was a huge glacial deposit left over from thawing glaciers that carved out much of the Baltic Sea basin. So I guess that theory has been disproven.
So no X-Files themes, no.
No, unfortunately not. And then the bloop. Have you heard of the bloop? I feel like I actually.
Yeah, I've heard of the bloop.
Yeah, what was it like? It was Wales.
Yeah.
Or no?
Yeah.
Actually, no. Wait. Explanations offered.
I thought it was Wales.
I thought it was too, but however, it seems glaciers were once again the culprit, with the sound
Oh,
to be
right.
consistent.
They did say it was Wales.
Consistent with ice calving, where large chunks of ice break off a glacier. Underwater crop circles. Oh, this is an interesting one.
Okay, bro.
Measuring up to 6 meters across and sometimes 6 meters, and sometimes decorated with shells and coral fragments. Hey, yo, aliens really going crazy down there.
Nah, bro, what you talking? It's the giant squid out here making art.
Hey, it gets bored, man. But these ornate circles were discovered on the seabed near southern Japan in 1995, remained a mystery for 16 years. This one was solved too, but it was cool to think about.
What was the solution?
However, in 2011, researchers discovered that it was the male pufferfish, and it's 5
Hey.
inches long, building 6-meter crop circles at the bottom of the
Sure,
ocean.
okay. Let's go male pufferfish
Yeah,
out
so
here
it was
making
observed to spend days swimming in and out of the circle area using their fins to dig in the sand. What was the effort all for to attract a mate?
I figured.
Wow, the lengths.
Bro's
at
a
which
simp.
someone would go.
Simp
There
and a
you go.
half.
Number 4, the Atlantis of Japan. So this talks about they discovered perplexing circles on a seabed. This was years before that. Japan was another site of another ocean mystery. Plato's mythical Sea of Atlantis has inspired a number of stories about the lost civilizations under the sea, and one of them was.
That's like a really big cultural trope. Yeah, but continue.
And one of them was spurred by the discovery of the atmospheric Yonaguni Monument in 1986 by a local Japanese diver. And it's a sandstone monument with impressive symmetrical form, including what look like steps. A number of people, including academics, have concluded the structure is man-made. However, a number of other experts pointed to the similarity between the monument and nearby land formations, with Boston University natural scientist Professor Robert Schock pointing out that the sandstone breaks into straight edges, so it gives the illusion of a deliberate construction. Huh.
Very cool.
I wonder, like, to be honest, I feel, I don't know, I'm looking at these photos, and
Yo, that's kind of.
I don't want to say, I don't think that that's just like erosion. And I think it's cooler to think that it's not just erosion. Number 5, narwhal tusks. The narwhal is another puzzling creature from the depths, and the function of its long tusks has been the subject of much debate. Many researchers
Swimming in the ocean, causing a commotion.
Oh my god, that song. Damn, you just sent me back. Many researchers believe it was used for sexual seduction, much like antlers on a deer. Other theories suggest that the tusk is a sensory organ able to detect changes in the environment, or a weapon for doing battle with other narwhals and predators. That thing definitely looks like it can kill, so I'm gonna say that it's probably for, fighting or scrapping down in the sea. So then what else do we have? We have number 6, the Mary Celeste. Has long been a byword for eerie and deserted. That was exactly the scene found by Canadian sailors when they boarded the American vessel off the coast of the Azores in December 1872. The crews belonging in the ship's cargo were discovered intact, but their lifeboat was missing.
I think I've heard of this one before.
Really? I've never heard of this. But their lifeboat was missing, as were all of the 10 people who were recorded as on board. The last entry in the ship's log was written over a week before it was found, but it shed little light on why the Mary Celeste had never completed its journey from New York to Genoa.
In like elementary school, I used to be one of the kids who would read those like, unsolved mysteries, cryptids, like whatever.
Yeah.
They'd scare the crap out of me all the time,
Yeah,
but like I still went back and read. I guess that's why I'm a horror movie enjoyer. I enjoy it sometimes.
Yeah, so this one's actually hasn't been solved, so I have no idea why. And I guess a little bit of a side note, while we're talking about this, the lost colony of Roanoke. It's I guess another sort of ocean related
Croatoan type
little incident, but yeah. So number 7, the Bermuda Triangle. Hey, shout out to Miami, because I'm one of the points on that triangle. But the Bermuda Triangle has become synonymous with intrigue and unexplained disappearances. The triangle is an area of 500,000 square miles of ocean between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. The military ship, the USS Cyclops, traveling from Baltimore to Brazil with 300 crew, went missing there in 1918. In 1945, a whole squadron of bombers similarly vanished. In both cases, no wreckages were found.
Whack. I think the explanation that some people have offered was something about like sulfur, like plumes coming up from the ocean
and just like eviscerating.
Not like more like they I want to say it causes like the air to become like denser or something, so the planes couldn't fly right, or maybe there was like an electrical anomaly or something.
Actually, I feel like I've heard about that, like radar.
Yeah.
Radar interference. Huh. Shout out to Florida.
I guess it's the Bermuda Triangle for a reason, bro.
Yep. And then the last theory.
We gotta pull up one day.
I mean, hey, I live pretty close, so yeah. But number 8, the unmapped ocean floor. So 70% of the Earth's surface is below the ocean, but although the ocean has been mapped, only large details of 3 miles or more in length can be properly seen. This means that 95% of our oceans remain hidden. It's little wonder then that the oceans continue to throw up surprises. Recent discoveries have included a new shark called the Genie's dogfish.
Dang, bro, new shark just dropped?
Yeah. And perhaps the longest animal ever recorded, a 47-meter long jellyfish.
I can respect it, bro.
If you're scared of jellyfish, watch it. And that was discovered.
47 meters.
This makes sense. Wait till you hear this. Discovered earlier this year by Australian scientists. Yeah.
Of course, it's Australia. Bro.
Yeah, it's Australia.
It's always Australia.
Don't even. Yeah. But yeah, so those were the just 8 theories from this article by the BBC that I just wanted to cover. Just really give a little fun spin on this ocean episode. But
TLDR, the ocean, gotta love it. Really cool stuff. Humanity is just obsessed with it for a number of reasons, partly because it's so pervasive. It's literally the ocean. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Reason number 2, there's so much that we don't know and so much that we're always learning that it feels like you could make the ocean Like it could be. It's a symbol for a lot of things.
Yeah.
We put meanings on it, but at the end of the day, the ocean do what the ocean do, bro.
Yeah, and
That's what's up.
we'll only see what we find in the years to come. But yeah,
I can respect it. Anyway, that about wraps up our time.
yeah. So we hope you guys have been having a nice spring break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure talking to you, bro.
Yeah. It's always a pleasure talking to you too.
Let's take it out. You've been listening to 101.1 FM, WBRULP, WFOOLP, WVVXLP Providence.
You guys can check us out on the Outta Pocket Podcast website. It's www.theoutapocketpodcast.com, and Outta is spelled OUTTA. And just a heads up, check out our Instagram, which will be linked on our website finally, because I have forgotten. So go follow us through the website.
Also on our website, a contact page. Shoot us an email. Let us know what you think about the show, stuff you want to see. Maybe if you're interested on getting on the show, we'll just reach out. I'm sure we'd love to arrange something.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you so much for tuning into the Outta Pocket Podcast. We'll catch y'all next week. And remember, when life hits you with some crap, some issues, take it easy, but also take it.
Yeah. Live and learn. Catch you guys later, and take care.